We are now, but it doesn't matter. We
Oh,
added
cool.
and cut stuff out. All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sharin Stories. I'm your host, Peaks, with my two beautiful co-hosts, Sarah States and the real St. Paul. This is not a therapy session. You will not find mental health professionals here, nor are we a substitute for sad people. We are just regular people sharing and hopefully normalizing our stories with mental health. Today, we welcome a hilarious comedian, a talented videographer, and a YouTube star. A man who in the last couple of weeks has made me crack up 1,000 times, whether it's him eating out of the trash or him attempting TikTok science experiments. You can find just about anything on his YouTube channel. He is a person who understands the value of putting a smile on the faces around him, and we are so excited to hear his story. So without further ado, Perry Grone, everyone. Thanks for coming on, Perry. We really
Thank
appreciate
you for having me. What an intro. I love that. Eating out of the trash
it.
does make me sound like the fattest person ever, though, I will say.
I do what I
Do it in
can,
high
and yeah.
school.
Yeah.
So
That was
Perry, the
that was
way
definitely for a YouTube video where I ate out of the trash and tried to find food out of the trash because I had just moved and I have no money, and my brother and I were like, "Well, what how can
it
we
was
get free
hilarious.
food? The trash."
Okay.
There's more to the video. There's more to the video. I want everybody to know that there is other ways that they find free food. If you want to keep looking, go on to that video. It's definitely a funny one. But Perry, before we get started, and you kind of tell us your story, just kind of give yourself an introduction a little bit here.
Yeah, my name is Perry. I am sitting on the floor of my apartment right now because it's in front of a window and it's very comfortable. I'm on my meditation chair, like I mentioned before, in the spirit of mental health. I do stand up comedy. I have a YouTube channel that I do with my brother. We're actually going to rebrand it. It's called Perry Grone is the YouTube channel, but because my brother and I have such a good time with it, we're going to probably rebrand it and call it something different soon that incorporates both of us because we kind of like to pick on each other. So we're doing
Oh,
that. But, yeah,
nice.
that's me.
That's pretty awesome. I think we just lost that mic a little bit, or was that just on my end?
I
That his
heard
mic
it.
kind of cut.
It was like a
All
little
right.
bit weird, but I heard it.
If you want, I can grab other
Yeah. All right.
other headphones. Would it be
No,
easier
I
to?
do think I caught a little bit. I just think maybe it was the distance or something that kind of gave it a short little quiet spell. But either way, we are so happy to have you on the podcast, Perry, and we're really excited to
Thank
get
you.
right into it.
Mhm.
So honestly, if you want to just get started, I don't know, people do it differently every single time, but however you want to share your story, let us know, and we'll kind of shoot questions after that.
Uh, how I apologize, but was there homework that I was supposed to do? What do I have to? What are the things that I'm supposed to share?
No homework. We just want to, well, first of all, the whole point is just to kind of hear people's stories with mental health. So
Mm.
generally what happens is the first little bit, you just kind of give us a little background on your history with mental health, any
Yeah.
run-ins with it, whatever it might be, however it has manifested in your life. And then from that point, we kind of just pick at it and we ask questions about it and we shoot back and forth for a little bit.
I love it. I'm a huge. Shall I start?
Yeah, go for it.
I'm a huge advocate and proponent for mental health. It's been something in my life that I feel like it is the constant Rubik's cube that I am trying to figure out daily. And I think that when I have four things in place that they really help me out, and that is proper diet, meditation, exercise, and good sleep. And if I can do those four things, then I pretty much, for the most part, feel a lot better. But I've had some bouts of sadness and depression and anxiety throughout my life. And then also on the other end, like extreme happiness and just like joy for life. And I think what I've realized. I think it's important to realize to understand that it's not going to be a constant thing. And then when I'm in a position of feeling like, oh, I feel like shit right now, that I can that it will be over at some point, no matter how long it takes. A few years ago, not a few years ago, it's been about 10 years, but I had a problem with addiction, and so that was a a huge growing experience in terms of like understanding my own mental side of things, because like going through that, to get through that, you kind of have to understand how your own brain works, like not only your thought process, but literally biologically, like what's going on within your head. And that really helped me. That was like my introduction to like mental, working on your mental health. And then I try to meditate almost every day. I usually go in like bouts of like, okay, I'm meditating every day for a few months, and then I'll stop for like a month because like I just moved and that kind of messed things up for me. But here I am on my floor again on the meditation chair, so we're back at it,
Right back
and
at it.
we're back doing the headspace, baby.
Now, everybody, get ready for the guided meditation. Sit quietly. We're gonna spend the next 30 minutes talking this over.
Yes, shut your mouth and listen to your heart and your chest. And yeah, I don't know. I've had a lot of unusual experiences in my early 20s that put me in a position of like really trying to understand and manage mental health. Before I started doing stand-up comedy and YouTube, I was doing a lot of travel documentary stuff, and that would bring me to like third world countries, and I would see a lot of stuff that was like really shocking. And then the people that I was with was they would help me afterwards. I would go with like a group of people, and then the leaders of like the group after the trip and the experience, we would uh, talk about kind of how what we saw and like what we were feeling. And I don't know, and I think that like not only like what I saw and experienced was like crazy and like pretty heartbreaking a lot of times, but I learned how to deal with it afterwards and like talk it through and understanding like the emotions, and that really really helped. Um, yeah, I don't know what else you want to hear, but I mean, I could
That's
go on.
that's all right, because I'm gonna dive deeper into just about everything that you just said there. So
Rah,
that's
rah.
fine. I'm just gonna start with the last thing you talk about. Is there a moment you remember specifically in these countries that like kind of took you back and made you think about things for a second?
Dude, I just got chills thinking about. Yeah, there's uh, a few moments. There's one that's like really really intense. I don't know how intense we can we get intense on here?
Yes, yeah, whatever it is.
I I was in Haiti, and this was like the second or third time I'd ever like left the country. I had never even had the opportunity kind of to travel growing up, and I was in Haiti, and it was right after a big hurricane they had, and I was going down there, and I was my job there was going with a group of people that were doing like work and like rebuilding or whatever, but my job was like to film and uh, like the experience and kind of like get the word out of what was happening. And so I remember we were out in Haiti like a week after the hurricane happened, and it was like the movie 2012 where everything was completely demolished and destroyed, and we were out in the middle of a field, and there was a house out there, and standing in front of the house, which I thought it was a house, was like this old man. He was 92 years old. We get out to his house, and all that's on his house is just literally the front of it, just the front of the house, and you walk through the front door and everything's just like gone. It was like really really sad. And I remember like Phil, like my job was to film this stuff, and he was talking to the translator and just like filming his eyes, just seeing like into his soul was really really heartbreaking. And it's like footage that I've never even looked at again, because it was
Wow.
like
Sure.
so heavy. And then afterwards, my friend, because I was there with another friend who was filming, he like grabbed the camera and started to film me because he saw it was like real. I mean, it was affecting everybody. And he's like, what's going on in your head right now?" I was like, I can't even be filmed right now. Like this is really really wild. And then I mean, the interesting thing that happens after that is like there's a thing is something called like empathy fatigue is what I've learned by doing that stuff for years. And I just had to like train my brain that like my job isn't to fix the world, and I'm gonna see this stuff sort of thing a lot, and I just have to like do my part, but my job again isn't to fix it. There's so many other layers and factors and variables that go into it. And then after that, I've seen like a handful of, lots of other things that are like pretty crazy. But the interesting thing about all of that and all these like countries and things that I saw, every single one of the countries, all of them are happier than the United States most of the time. Like so much happier. It's crazy. It blows my mind.
I literally like
Crazy.
6 stories popped into my head right when you were saying that, because I knew already where you were going with it. It is really unbelievable to see how much joy these people get out of life with so little. One specific for me is I landed in Cambodia at this airport, and I needed a ride, so I hopped on the back of this guy's bike and he took me to my hostel. It was like 6:30 in the morning. We got to my hostel. He's like, all right, that's $2. They use USD in Cambodia. So I gave him $2 and then I was like, my hostel's not taking me right now. I want to just go see all the sites. You want to take me to Angkor Wat, which Angkor Wat's this like huge, one of the largest tourist attractions in the world. And so he took me to this place, and for the next 8 hours, he would drive me to a place, give me an hour, wait outside, pick me up, drive me to the next place, wait outside, pick me up. And we did this for 8 hours straight, stopped, got lunch, I like at just a restaurant that whatever. And then he drove me back to my place, and I was like, all right, so what's the total cost? Cause like and he goes, oh no, you already paid me. And I go, you just spent a full day with me. You just spent a full day with me. 10 hours of your time probably total. And and like this entire time we're talking, he has 4 kids. They have rice. They have the rice that they farm for dinner every single night. He hasn't had a different meal. He says he doesn't remember the last time he had a different meal than the rice that they farm themselves. But not once was he not smiling. Was he not laughing with me? Was he not like creating such a great time? And I can probably name 50 stories like that. I can literally name.
I think it's because like when you're, you get kind of depressed or anxious when your reality doesn't meet your expectations, and we're surrounded by video games and TikTok and people dancing on TikTok and more TikTok, and then in other countries it's just the expectations aren't as high, and I guess you get to kind of experience the world as it really is, and anything you could see a hummingbird and you're like, oh shit, that's pretty cool. Now when I see a hummingbird, I'm like, I hate that.
Yeah, you're like, oh, just a hummingbird. We got to move on. Birds are all right. So you said you kind of go back and forth with like bouts on yourself, whether it's like a little bit of depression or extremely like happy moments in time. Are there usually things that cause it, or is it just random for you, you think? And so what are those two like different bouts? Like what are these two different like issues look like? Do you think there's a specific event that caused it? Sorry.
Yeah, I think that it's unhealthy, but because I do YouTube stuff, if the numbers are good, and I do YouTube and TikTok and whatever, if the numbers are good, then I'm happy, and then if they're not, then I'm a sad boy. But I am trying to, and more recently, I've gotten better about just like enjoying the process. And then, being with friends, makes me being like social makes me pretty happy. I think when life is going right, I feel good, and that's not like when work is going right. And it's not healthy. It's not a good thing, and I know it, and I recognize it, and I'm trying to figure it out and get over it because it's not a good thing.
That's human nature, though. It's hard to,
separate
get over
yourself.
that.
Yeah.
I'm curious, Perry, have you ever seen the show I'm Dying Up Here?
I haven't. I heard it wasn't that good of a show.
It was like a Showtime show about comedy, but it was like really dark. Because, well, it was about stand-up comedians and how like their, whatever they were dealing with throughout their life, or their past trauma or their past drug sort of use and different things like that, like translated into their comedy routines and became really funny for an audience. And so I'm just curious, like, does what you've been through mental health wise inform your comedic choices at all, or do you find those to be two separate things?
Great question. Great question. I think that it informs my delivery right now, and but not necessarily the material yet.
Mm-hmm.
I probably will get into that at some point, but it's more in my delivery, and yeah, not necessarily. I've tried like talking about the travel stuff before, and it's just like I don't know, I couldn't figure it out really. And sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. And I tried to, because when I stopped traveling, I felt like really guilty. I was like, all right, I'm going to stop trying to like travel and help people and then go on stage and tell dick jokes. And it's like, what?
Yeah.
I felt guilty. And so then I tried to like talk about that on stage a little bit and it kind of worked, but it also, I don't like to be like virtue signaling and like, look what I've done. And it kind of felt like that a little bit. So I kind of
Yeah.
stopped. So that's a long answer to it.
No, it's so interesting. I think it's just, yeah, like what you're saying. It's so, I find it so interesting how nuanced and like, I guess I can't think of like a better word, but like I guess talented comedians are like at taking these really serious sort of topics and things and then making it funny when you're kind of like, this isn't really funny like for most people, but somehow you can turn it into something like that gets laughs, which
Yeah.
I love.
Well,
I mean, there's like a beauty to that.
yeah, I mean, if you saw me talk, I'd be on stage talking about like cartoons and adventures and be like, all right. But no, some comics are really, really good at that, and I'm trying to work toward that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I mean, in the end, I think, like, do you feel like being up there did it start because you wanted to put laughs on people's faces, or did you just enjoy, talking in front of crowds and being funny? Like, did it start to be the empathetic version or for something else?
Yeah, public speak was always my most hated class. I was terrified to talk in front of people, like shredded it, sweating, even thinking about how I used to feel back then, just sweat all over me. Hated it. And then, but I always loved to, I guess, make people laugh. And I was always friends with the funniest person in school. Like I was never the funniest one, but I would, like a tumor, just like leech onto the funniest person. And
Hoping for a little osmosis, get a little bit of that.
yeah, I would be like, you see in a cartoon, there's a bird on a rhinoceros's back. I was the bird. And
Perfect.
And so I was always something in my mind that I wanted to do. And then when I would travel, it would be with a big group of people. And most of the time, I was the youngest one. So I would like goof around and I felt like the little brother, like walking, like messing around. And then I had a camera. And when you have a camera, it's kind of like a ticket to do whatever you want. You can walk in any doors, you could go wherever you need to, like you don't have to follow the rules. So I was just walking everywhere and like doing whatever I wanted, talking to anyone, like from any country, like anything. And I was just like, you know what? I'm a funny guy. I'm gonna try to get on stage and do this. And then I went on stage for the first time at an open mic, bombed horribly. And I was like, okay, maybe I'm not as funny as I thought I was. So now, yeah,
I
then I
mean,
just worked on it.
I think that's the thing is that people don't realize just the amount of work that goes into being a comedian in the end. It's not possible to just be naturally like the most unbelievable. The amount of pressure and delivery that goes into that is just unbelievable. But I want to know more about this meditation a little bit. You've gone on, how long do you generally meditate for?
10 to 15 minutes. I was in a period there where I was doing 20 minutes, but it's such a snowball thing where you have to like start off with 5 minutes and then do that for a few weeks and then get into 10 minutes and there's a lot of discipline which I lack that I have to get into for me to like hit that 20 minutes consistently.
Do you use a guide or are you like doing a mantra or like how are you guiding your meditation?
Headspace, the bald
Ah,
with a British voice. Yeah. Yeah. Can't remember his name, but he's that monk guy, super bald. He's a good guy.
yeah. I've never tried one of those things. I probably should. I've never been able to meditate really.
I swear by it. So this is what I suggest you do. They have a 30-day trial. It's like a 30 like class trial, and it's like it starts off at 5 minutes, I think. Like just you can do 5 minutes out of your day and just listen to what he says and then do it for 30 days. It's so easy. It's so simple.
Oh, it doesn't
And
sound easy.
oh my God.
This sound of it gives me anxiety. I'm like, wait, I have to sit down for like 5 minutes and listen to this thing. Like, I don't know why that gives me anxiety, but it just does. But you're
You're
saying it's easy?
well, yeah. I think there's times when my mind like wanders, and there's definitely a practice to like. It takes a while to like really lean into it and sit into it. And sometimes I do it, and the guy in my head is like, "All right, we're done now," and I'm like, "Oh, I didn't do this at all. I was thinking of cotton candy." So it sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But when it does work, you can like literally feel it in your body the whole day. It's really cool.
So you do it in the
Interesting.
morning typically?
I do it in the morning after I work out, after I've had my smoothie, go peanut butter and protein powder. And I do it for about 10 to 15 minutes. And just my body for the rest of the day feels like jelly. I recently cut out caffeine for the most part, started meditating a lot more. My new apartment has a jacuzzi.
Hey,
So, really large.
You're like the embodiment of mental wellness, like with the diet and like meditation and connecting like mind and body.
What
That's
if I
like,
turn the camera and there's like bodies hanging from my ceiling? Yeah.
Don't turn your camera. Just leave it there. I find you said you're for proper diet, meditation, exercise, good sleep. I find that pretty much my entire mood for a day is based on how much I sleep. Like
Based
I
on how much
can
you
literally
sleep?
be the worst human being to it doesn't like if I get 4 hours of sleep that night, I am going to be a nightmare. But if I
Oh,
get
it's the
8,
worst.
I'll just be happy, energetic.
Yeah, and
Whoop, we lost you,
I'm
Perry.
really. Oh, can you hear me?
no, we didn't. Yeah,
Good. No
you're good.
Oh, I probably
stuff.
lost you. It was probably just
Eek,
me.
you gotta get a new headset, bro.
Yeah,
We lost Peaks.
we always
No, I
lose
hear
me.
you. I totally hear you, and I'm so jealous of people that are like, yeah, I can sleep for like 2 hours, and then I like fight a bear. I'm like, no, you don't. What are you talking about? And
that's me.
you fight bears?
No, I
Wow.
I like I like I have no like I don't need a lot of sleep.
That's what you think.
It's just like I can like sleep for like
Yeah, you do.
You literally do.
I don't
You're
know
gonna
why.
die.
Like I'm just like I don't know about my body, but I guess like growing up, like I always because I was in sports all the time, so I had to
Yeah.
always like wake up super early, or like there's like random times like my coach would call me and be like, "Oh, you have to come to the gym right now and just work out with the team." So it will just be like random times like my body would wake up. So I guess my body got used to just like waking up at random times. So it's just like it's just like it's like my body's like
He
I
does
mean,
this
I
thing.
did sports too, but I was drunk quite a bit during it.
Oh,
So,
that must have been hard.
yeah, we were terrible at football.
Is this where the substance abuse kind of came into play, or was that a different level of
Oh, yeah.
addiction?
No, that's where the.
Are you allowed to
substance
go
abuse-
into that at all for us?
Yeah, I don't care. Yeah, I started doing. I just started like drinking when I was like 13 years old in high school. Grew up in like a small town. Only thing to do is like just make each other laugh or fight or party. It was like those three things. And
Buffalo?
yeah, and I couldn't. I try to make people laugh. I couldn't fight, but I was the life of the party. I'll tell you that. And so yeah, just started drinking a lot. Then opiates and like pills, like Vicodin and stuff, like started taking over my town. Like the area I lived in was a mecca for opiate addiction. It's like Ohio, I think Denver, and then Portland. I grew up like 2 hours south of Portland. And then so everybody in high school, including myself, just got overrun by opiates and like OxyContin and Percocet and Vicodin. And Oxycontin, and more Oxycontin. And everybody did it, and then they took away Oxycontin. Like they found out that a lot of kids were really addicted to it, and so they didn't understand it was like a new thing. It was like nowadays, or it was like what the crack epidemic used to be is like what's happening now, kind of.
Right.
And so they didn't understand like addiction or whatever, and then they took away Oxycontin, and then you have all these kids that are addicted to it, and they're like, okay, I have to do something else. So the only other thing is heroin. So then a lot of people started doing heroin. And I did that for a little bit, but then right after I started doing that, I was like, all right, I'm gonna get clean. And I only did it for like a couple months, and then went to like an outpatient rehab program, and did that, and that was like 10 years ago. And then now, which is really cool, Oregon just decriminalized drugs. So that opens up the ability to have a conversation and not like make it taboo and not stigmatize it, which like makes me so happy.
Yeah.
Because if those uh, like processes and that sort of conversation was around, when I was in high school and early college or whatever, it would have been so much different for me and a lot of my friends.
Yeah, so
Okay.
important.
Yeah.
So was it a coping mechanism then, or was it just kind of you just partying? Which one do you think?
Honestly, I hate to say it, but it was so fun. Like it was that's what it was. It was a bonding experience for my friends. And then my high school was weird, where it wasn't really like the jocks and like the nerds and like the like whatever, the cliques, like that hierarchy sort of thing. Like my high school, the jocks were also the biggest partiers and the ones that were doing the most drugs. And so it was like that was fun, and that's where the party was. And so it was just like cool to do. And it was a new thing. Like these sort of drugs were new, like Vicodin and whatever. And it was just nobody had any idea what was happening. There's a really good book, if anybody's interested, called Dreamland, that talks about it and breaks it down, like where it came from. It's one of my favorite books, just because I kind of went through that ringer. But it's really informative. And if anybody's like dealing with that, or is a sibling or a parent or whatever of somebody who's struggling with that, I highly recommend reading that book. They got like 90, they got a lot of it correct, in terms of just understanding literally where the drugs come from and like why they're so powerful. I say 90% because there's a couple things that they didn't like dive into that is just like small details of like how to do the drugs and stuff like that that they kind of brushed over. But I do think just all the information about it was really really relevant, and like understanding what it does to your mind is very valuable, because it's like, oh, you just like, it's like you broke your arm. It's like if you understand what's happening with the bones in your arm, then you can fix it. If you understand what's happening with what the drugs are doing to your mind, then you can fix it. And it makes it more of not a taboo thing and not an uncomfortable thing and not a mysterious thing. It's like, oh, your brain is growing more receptors, and that's why you're addicted. And in order to get not addicted, you have to like kill those receptors off. And it's like it just makes it like much more simple to understand what's happening.
Yeah, like not to be a downer, but that's how my brother died in 2015. And I think like what you're saying is so true, because the conversation really needs to be opened up. And like that book sounds great. Like I know it sounds great for like an adult to read, but like also like kids who are in high school need to like be sort of aware of like how it's affecting your brain and like different things like that, because that sort of information, like what you said, is like that is like tangible information that you can work with. Like you can understand like, oh, okay, like that is bad and maybe like shouldn't do that. So like I think opening up the conversation to include younger kids as well is really important, and not just like adults to then go to their kids and be like, this is why this is bad. Like include the kids in the conversation from the beginning, so that it's like a comprehensive understanding of what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, and there's so many different. Yeah, well, a couple thoughts on that is when I went to my doc, like the outpatient doctor, it was the first time anybody had explained to me what's happening, and it made it again like so much more understandable. And like, oh, okay, I can work with this. It's not a mysterious thing. And then also, there's so many reasons why people do drugs. It's not like they wake up one day and they're like, okay, I'm gonna get super high right now. You know, it's a long process, and it's like it is fun. Like it's a very fun thing. It's something that you can do to bond. I feel like I'm encouraging people to do it, but but that's why, because people want to like bond and have like some sort of community, and that's something that people can bond over. You know, and when you're in a town like my town, there's not a lot going on except that, and it's like makes your life an exciting thing, then yeah, that's why
It's like weirdly inclusive for something that can
for sure
kind of draw people apart from each other. It's weirdly inclusive, that kind of stuff. I do want to ask at the end, did you admit yourself in the rehab facility, or did someone else?
I did, yeah.
You did? How was that process for you? Because there are not many people that can do that. What is that self-awareness like?
What is that? What?
Self-awareness like?
I just knew that it was getting way out of hand, and once like heroin started like affecting me and all my friends, that's when I was like, all right, this has got to stop. And then I heard about a doctor that I actually need to reach back out to and be like, hey, my life has been fucking sweet since you helped me out. Like I really do want to go back to her and be like, tell her like really cool things that she helped me do. But anyway, so I can't remember exactly how I heard about her, but it was an outpatient thing. So you would go there, and she actually prescribed me something else to help me get off the drugs. And then I did that for a year, and I would go back like once a week to check up and talk to a counselor, and just like, and then slowly wean off the medicine. And after a year, it was surprisingly easy. Like when I had her and the medicine, it was pretty straightforward. But you had to follow it, because it's like a catch-22. If you don't follow the program and use the medicine correctly, it's like more dangerous than heroin, which is really weird.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a lot of trust. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, well, I paid her a lot.
Awesome. So that's definitely an interesting take on a lot of what substance abuse was, because we definitely talked about it a few different episodes, and I think that's very different than what everybody else has said, and I think that's awesome, because really in the end the point is this, to show that like there are people who have every walk of life that kind of go through each thing separately. I do want to kind of move a little bit into today. I know you live with your brother now, you said, right?
Yeah.
And you two are kind of trying to start things together.
Yeah.
What impact has he had on your life? What's his name? I saw it. I remember it. Dakota?
That's it. That's him,
right.
Dakota. We brainstorm all the time. We make each other laugh all the time. I think when we film, it's like we're like filming for people, to watch, but most of the time I'm just filming to try to make him laugh. And I'm just trying to put him in uncomfortable positions that just makes me laugh. Like things that are painful to him, and that makes me laugh. Also, like his girlfriend has a taser, and I was like, hey, let me tase you, and he was like, no, and I was like, let me tase you.
Well, if you say it like that, I mean,
yeah, when you say it twice, So yeah, that's how. Yeah, we work really well together.
Growing up, did he ever really know about any issues that you had? Would you talk to him about this stuff?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I went through withdrawals at my house. It was in high school, early college, when I was still living at home.
And what was his response to this? Was he going through similar things, or did he go a different route?
He was partying also, but not as hard as me. I party so fucking hard.
Oh, sick.
No.
Sick, bro.
No. No, he definitely wasn't as like bad as me, but and I don't think we were as close, but when we got like late after I started getting clean and doing better, we moved in together like my senior year of college, and then pretty much ever since then we've lived off and on together. For the past like 2 years, we've like lived consistently together.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I think having someone in your family, like I got two older brothers, and I mean we're as close as I am to anybody in this world, and
That's awesome.
it's definitely just a huge part of my life. When I have issues, I can talk to them. So it's
Yeah.
definitely nice to have people. I always
Yeah.
like to see people's interactions.
Do you mind if I go grab a glass of water? Can we edit this out? Or keep it?
I mean, either way, yeah, you can go grab that. I don't know. That's fine. We're about 2 minutes away from being done. I'm pretty much just gonna see if you want to plug some stuff and.
Let me go grab
on.
water. My throat's untied.
All right, Sarah, you're pretty close, eh? To going?
Yeah, she actually said she's gonna be here at like 6:45.
Ooh, perfect.
I know, right?
That's good stuff. That's pretty awesome. Nice. Let's start talking about him before he comes back.
Yeah, I hear you.
So what do you guys think?
I heard you guys talking about my huge muscles.
Yeah.
Damn, I didn't think
We're
you'd
back.
hear that. I didn't think you'd hear that one. Awesome. Is there anything else you think? Because I feel like a lot of times I'll start talking and I'll just kind of remember little things that came up, or maybe going back to those early unusual experiences in your early 20s that you want to kind of touch back on before I give the final wrap up and ask for your plugs.
I think we covered it. I mean, this was great. I love what you guys are doing. Again, I think this is very important stuff, and it's cool that you're making it not a taboo thing. It's relevant.
Yeah, I'm happy. Yeah, I like you coming in without any without any of the homework that was supposed to be done. I feel like you immediately crush it. I'm really happy.
Cool.
Thank you so much for like the openness. I don't think you really held back anything, which sometimes we definitely see it. I mean, I'm sure I've held back things on my own episode, so it's definitely nice to see that. Other than that, we would like to plug some of your stuff. So Perry, us on a daily basis, what can we be doing? How can we find you? Where can we see you?
You can go to my YouTube, hit subscribe, and actually hit subscribe because it helps. Yeah, it's just my name, Perry Grone. That's Grone. It's my last name. And then Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, the same thing.
Perfect. And maybe we'll send out an update for everybody once it becomes Perry and Dakota Grone, whenever you guys format that entire thing.
Yes.
Those are such good names, Perry and Dakota.
Really?
Perry
You like them?
Dakota. Yeah, they're like strong. Like they're like good names.
What do you think about your name? It sounds like you're not into it.
I'm not into it. You're right.
Oh,
No, you don't like the name Perry? Is there a reason?
It's a silly name. Just my mom should have, called me George. Just call me Kevin. Just a normal name. I don't know.
So, this is a big thing. This is a big thing with one of my brothers. He's really against his name, and they initially called him Adrian, and like 3 people thought he was a girl when he was born because of the name. So my parents changed it to Tim, and he is furious.
I was gonna say,
he thinks his name should have been Adrian.
That's way more. I don't know. Yeah,
that's like the opposite of you, right? Like that's literally the opposite of you. So
my parents
names don't mean shit.
Well, my parents were gonna name me Sam or Max, and then they chose Perry.
I think Perry is like the best option. That you are Perry, I think. And Peaks, is your name Andrigo or is it Andrew?
No, it's Andrew. Andrigo would just be like my Ukrainian name. But the point is, like, my name was Andrew. I didn't like it much. And it turns out for my entire life, I've just been called Peaks. So names don't matter at all.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Paul, is your name real?
Make your own.
Paul?
Make your own. If you want to be called something else, fucking call yourself.
All right.
So I don't give a shit.
Saint is Spanish for Santos, and that's my last name.
Oh, okay. I learned something new about you every day.
Nice.
Santos is Spanish for saint. So, yeah.
And
So-
Well,
Saint
my name is
Santa-
Sarah,
Santa
and
Claus,
my name is Sarah, and it means God's princess. So
Really?
it does. Yeah.
Whoa! Holy crap!
In
So there's
what
that.
language?
In Hebrew,
Oh, okay. All right.
Uh-huh.
Wow! I said the F word during this. Now I feel I'm in the presence
Oh.
of all the Holy Lord.
Yeah, that's not acceptable, Perry. We're gonna be cutting that out. Don't worry.
no, we're just gonna put a censor over it. That'd be kind of funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not gonna do that though.
Oh.
You good.
Okay. All right.
All right. Well, Perry,
Anyway.
it really was a pleasure to have you on. I had a great time.
Thank you. I love what you're doing. This is great.
We really appreciate that. You have a nice night, and hopefully we'll talk soon. Also, there will be a free shirt in your future. We actually do have the shirts now, so you can go on our shop and just like honestly, I'll just send you a link for it and just pick whatever one you want, and it's just free, and we'll just let us know where to send it.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. I love a good shirt.
Perfect.
Oh,
I'll probably shoot you an email tomorrow or something for it.
thank you. You guys are great.
Thank you very much.
Cool.
See ya.
Have a good one. Bye, everybody. Like, subscribe, do whatever you normally do. Let's
Subscribe
turn
to
that
them.
mental health into mental wealth.